Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Our first speaker is Avo Zauna. She is with CARE, and she's an experienced wash systems practitioner with over a decade of work across Africa. She has led the design and implementation of transformative programs in Madagascar and currently supports the Isoko Ubuzima initiative in Rwanda. She also supports other really interesting projects in Zambia and Cote d'Ivoire. Avo is a passionate practitioner translating global experiences into practical solutions. She helps turn frameworks and concepts into actual approaches on the ground that are adapted to local realities and that build on the unique strengths of each context. Her work focuses on engaging the private sector in water and sanitation services, advancing public-private partnerships, and strengthening governance by building government capacity. So Avo is with us live today, as well as our other speaker who will be joining us. But I pre-recorded her presentation just in case of internet or power issues. So I have a presentation of Avo talking about her climate resilient project, but she is here with us. So stay on and have questions that she can answer live after the presentation. Oh, by the way, I'm Kelly Alexander. I'm based in Atlanta in the US with CARE USA and the Deputy Director of the Water Plus team. Okay, I need to mute.
For climate adaptation. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to our session on strengthening water resilience for climate adaptation in Madagascar and Ethiopia. I am Avo Zauna, Water Systems Senior Technical Advisor at CARE. Later, my colleague Dr. Adugno-Tadesse, Senior Project Manager also at CARE, will share Ethiopia's experience. Our session is about more than sharing what the project did. It's about showing how a systems approach, particularly through public-private partnerships, can leave behind a living, evolving legacy of resilient water services. Here is how we'll spend our time together. We'll begin by setting the stage with our objectives and some global context. Why resilience in water services is so urgent in today's world of climate uncertainty. I'll then guide you through the Madagascar experience, not just what was done during the RunWash project, but more importantly, how the systems and partnerships built during the project have continued to thrive and evolve since it ended. We'll hear how local private operators, youth and women-led enterprises and municipalities are taking ownership, co-investing, and innovating well beyond project boundaries. After Madagascar, my colleague Dr. Adugno will share Ethiopia's journey, where similar approaches are being adapted to a different context, bringing out lessons and contrasts that we can all learn from. We'll hear how the country is applying a systems approach, leveraging data, technology, partnerships, and inclusive strategies to deliver sustainable and climate-resilient services. Finally, we'll open the floor for discussion and Q&A because the most important part of this session is exchange, learning from each other's experiences and ideas. Our objectives today for this session: first, we want to demonstrate how public-private partnership can strengthen water resilience in fragile and climate-stressed contexts like Madagascar and Ethiopia. Second, we will show innovations in low-cost climate-adaptive infrastructure from solar pumping to automatic kiosks, digital monitoring, and integrated watershed management that make water services more reliable, efficient, and sustainable. Third, we will highlight the role of the private sector, particularly youth and women-led enterprises. These actors bring fresh perspectives, business dynamism, and community trust, and their leadership is proving essential for scaling resilient solutions. Fourth, we'll discuss the challenges and opportunities for scaling these PPP models. For example, how to mobilize finance, maintain affordability while ensuring business viability, and integrate climate risks into every decision. Fifth, we will explore systems-level approaches to WASH, from data-driven planning and sector coordination to inclusive governance, which are essential to sustain impact across diverse contexts, including Ethiopia. And finally, this session is about exchange. We want to share what has worked, but also hear your insights, your challenges, and your innovations so that together we can strengthen collaborative water management globally. Globally, 2.2 billion people still lack safely managed drinking water. In Africa, 411 million people still lack even basic drinking water service, a number far below universal access. And in rural areas, the gaps are even more striking. 3 out of 4 people lack safely managed water and sanitation. These statistics are not just abstract, they reveal the scale of human vulnerability, especially when combined with climate change. Drought, floods, and cyclones do not just disrupt lives, they destroy fragile water systems and push vulnerable households further behind. Let's now turn to Madagascar. Madagascar is home to nearly 29 million people, yet only about half of them have access to basic drinking water. The country is ranked among the most climate vulnerable in the world. The threats are multiple and severe. In the south, persistent droughts create chronic water shortages, pushing communities into crisis. In the coastal and eastern regions, intense cyclones and seasonal flooding regularly destroy infrastructure and contaminate sources. Rising temperatures and unpredictable rainfall patterns are also reducing groundwater recharge, threatening the sustainability of boreholes and small systems. This combination of scarcity, shocks, and fragility makes it very hard to sustain water services. And then there are governance and financing constraints. Municipalities often lack the resources to plan, regulate, and manage services effectively. Households cannot always afford private connections. Private operators struggle to access loans, so climate stress and institutional weakness come together, creating a situation where resilience is not optional. It's a necessity for survival. It was in this environment that the Rainwash project introduced a systems approach to water services, moving beyond simply building infrastructure to strengthening the overall water service ecosystem. The project engaged local governments and private operators alike, creating a collaborative environment that could sustain services over time. Importantly, the impact of Rainwash has extended well beyond the project period and intervention areas. A private operator has expanded its services in southern Madagascar into new municipalities, building on the capacities, partnerships, and systems established during the project. This demonstrates how empowering local actors, particularly youth and women-led enterprises, can drive sustainable growth and resilience independently. The approach has always prioritized inclusivity and climate resilience, ensuring communities have reliable water access even under climate stress. By leveraging public-private partnership and market-based solutions, Runwash set the stage for locally led innovation and co-investment, creating a model that continues to evolve and thrive beyond project boundaries. Now, let's look at the approaches Runwash used to strengthen wash systems in Madagascar. First, the public-private partnership model, build, co-invest, manage, was at the core of the system with people at its heart. Communities were central to planning, design, and management, ensuring that services met real needs and were valued locally. At the same time, the model responsibilized both government and private operators. Local authorities were accountable for governance and oversight, while private operators co-invested, managed, and maintained services sustainably. This approach reflects a systems perspective that links governance, financing, service delivery, and community engagement in a coherent and mutually reinforcing way. Second, technical assistance to enterprises, municipalities, and civil society organizations strengthened planning, management, and service delivery capacities. Operators were coached from technical studies through construction and ongoing management, ensuring that services were efficiently run, resilient, and responsive to local conditions. Third, integrated approaches across the wash system, connected infrastructure, governance, financing, community engagement, and market mechanism, making interventions mutually reinforcing and durable. Fourth, entrepreneurship and capacity building were central. Small private operators received comprehensive training on developing realistic business models, business plans, managing clients, marketing their services, and operating climate-resilient infrastructure. They were coached throughout construction and management, building both technical and managerial skills to sustainably run water services and respond to community needs. Operators were also linked with financial institutions to access credit and co-investment, supporting locally driven and sustainable service provision. Fifth, community involvement extended beyond consultations. Communities participated actively in monitoring, decision-making, and stewardship of water services, reinforcing accountability and long-term sustainability. Sixth, capacity building strengthened public actors and CSOs, enhancing planning, supervision, and coordination across the wash system. And finally, climate-resilient infrastructure and technologies were implemented based on technical studies, as already mentioned, including climate and environmental impact assessments. Communities were consulted to ensure infrastructure was adapted to local conditions. Private operators were coached throughout construction and management to ensure services could withstand climate shocks while remaining reliable and efficient. Together, these approaches strengthen the wash system as a whole, creating a dynamic, locally led ecosystem where communities, private operators, and government collaborate to sustain, expand, and innovate water services long after the project direct support ended. Let me illustrate this with Naturano, a youth and woman-led enterprise. Naturano invested nearly 75% of the cost to rehabilitate the failing water system in Madagascar. With RunWash support, they restored service and discovered new business opportunities through the challenges they faced. They introduced a smart kiosk model that reduces water losses and enables remote monitoring. This allows minimizing non-revenue water, faster response by technical team, tracking consumption at each water point and in aggregate, reducing dependency on system managers being physically present, improving operational efficiency. This is not theory, it is already working. Since July 2024, Naturano has been operating remote monitoring at 2 sites, with more than 65 smart taps installed and 50 more underway. Scaling is already happening. In Madagascar, Naturano has served about 7,500 people with 60% service coverage, aiming to reach 80% coverage across all types of water connections. They are partnering with another operator, Ranwanalabe, to expand to 5 new communes in the south of the country in drought-prone areas. 2 additional sites have been identified for rehabilitation and expansion. Over the next 2 years, Naturano plans to reach an additional 35,000 people with kiosks and water private connections. Because these areas face water scarcity, expansion also requires strengthening sources, drilling boreholes, adding solar pumping, building reservoirs, and extending pipelines. Naturano and partners are ready to co-invest while seeking additional financing to support this scaling phase. Naturano's journey demonstrates how empowering youth and women-led private operators can drive innovation and expand climate-resilient water services beyond project boundaries. From this experience, a few lessons stand out. Local enterprises can drive resilient services if empowered and supported. Climate-resilient infrastructure sustains services despite shocks. Women and youth leadership foster innovation and trust. Market-based approaches mobilize private investment, reducing reliance on external aid. Finance linkages are critical for continuity and scale. And finally, a systems approach where governance, infrastructure, finance, and environmental management are integrated creates lasting resilience. As we reflect on our experience in Madagascar, several lessons stand out. Things that have worked and areas we would emphasize even more in future interventions. We see that scaling and sustaining climate-resilient water services requires attention across multiple dimensions. First, investing in climate-resilient infrastructure and technologies. It's not enough to simply build new systems. They must withstand climate shocks, be easy to maintain, and adapt to local realities. Durable, context-appropriate technologies make the difference between temporary relief and long-term resilience. Second, strengthening public-private community partnerships for WASH. Partnerships are at the heart of sustainability. This means not only supporting private operators to manage water systems efficiently, but also ensuring that governments provide an enabling environment with clear roles, accountability, and operational frameworks. Communities use and pay for services and must also have a voice and ownership so that services are equitable and demand-driven. Third, prioritizing capacity building of local operators and authorities. Many local operators are small scale and need support to become sustainable service providers. Providing realistic business plans, practical training, and ongoing coaching both during construction and operations strengthens their ability to manage systems, innovate, and respond to challenges over the long term. Fourth, fostering women and youth leadership in WASH enterprises. Encouraging leadership among women and youth is not just about inclusion. It drives innovation, trust, and entrepreneurship. Future interventions should continue to create opportunities, mentorship, and support networks that enable these groups to thrive. Fifth, expanding access to finance for private WASH service providers. Access to capital is essential, but only effective if combined with guidance on business planning and risk management. Linking finance with technical support and blended finance mechanism will allow operators to scale responsibly and sustainably. Finally, integrating WASH into climate adaptation strategies and policies. Water services cannot be treated in isolation. Aligning WASH with broader climate adaptation plans ensures that investments are strategic, resilient, and linked to long-term development goals. Taken together, these lessons highlight what we have learned and what we would reinforce in future interventions. A holistic, partnership-driven, and resilient approach to water services that continues to grow even after projects conclude. Now, I'll hand over to Dr. Adugno to share the Ethiopia experience. It continues to grow even after projects conclude.
Great. Thanks so much, Avo, for that presentation. And Avo is online with us here today. So we're going to open the floor for questions about her presentation, about some of the work she was describing before we move to Ethiopia. Does anyone have any question? You can either write it in the chat or you can come off mute. So one of the, I could come up with many questions, only because I've never been to Madagascar and I was not the program manager at all for this project that Avo described. So, thinking about your point about fostering leadership among youth and women, what did that look like? Like you mentioned, it's not just about inclusion, it's about fostering leadership. So what, can you give us a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, hello everyone, and thank you very much for watching the presentation. To answer to your question, Kelly, how is it really concretely in the field engaging youth and women in entrepreneurship? It is among the activities promoting gender, promoting women empowerment. And we have several activities, such as doing mapping, gender mapping of institutions, working with the project like government, like the project, and sharing the result of such mapping to show how we integrate really women and youth in our organization, in our respective organization, and how can we improve this in the future. And we involve as well during the activities, training and the information activities with private actors. We presented the result of such mapping and discussed with them how about their organization and how can we improve this way to have more women and to have more young people in the organization. And during the implementation as well, we shared experiences of enterprises having young and women in their organization to share what are the benefits of having such different categories of people within the enterprise. And fortunately, really, it was amazing at this time that they noticed that it is different to have a woman. And we have here Mieza, woman. We are really very honored and thank you very much, Mieza, to be present in this session. Mieza is among the women emerged during this project, and she becomes the manager of an enterprise, Naturano, and the Naturano really has demonstrated a good leadership of a woman, initiating activities, innovations to really address climate change and to really thrive their businesses. I want to invite, if you allow, Kelly, I want to invite Mieza to share her experiences. Mieza, could you share your experiences, highlighting the challenges you have faced in addressing climate change and the measures you have taken in response?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mieza Rasafandrakutu, the manager of Naturano. And first, thank you for your interest. So let's take the case of commune of Ambo Sarkara that you presented earlier. Our biggest challenge was the decreasing of water resources. And to address this, we first decided to act on water usage by introducing smart taps to have more control on water losses. That is what you do first. And this worked initially, but last year, the dry period was exceptionally long, whereas it usually lasts from October to November. Last year, it extended from September to early January. So this forced us to add a new source. So we opt for solar-powered groundwater pumping, as our only source had previously been a high-altitude dam. This allowed us to keep the system fully operational. And seeing these results, several companies and other entities visited our site and requested that we install our technology at their own sites. So we decided to offer not only the product, but also the complete service of implementing the management system to ensure it is truly profitable. Our goal is simple: to turn a climate challenge into an opportunity to build a more resilient water systems. And today, we are working with several companies to set up kiosks with management systems on their existing sites, as well as on new infrastructures. And thanks to these partnerships, we can operate more efficiently in multiple locations across the south, the west, and the east of our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That's fantastic. Before she goes and before we move to Ethiopia, are there any questions about that or comments? Just wanted to check. Okay. Fantastic. So next to have Dr. Adunya Tadesse share with us. Let me just make sure that I do this right. Okay.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
I'm going to pause him. So he's also here live, but we pre-recorded the presentation just because of maybe internet issues. But in terms of his introduction, Dr. Dunya Tadesse Akeli is a water resources expert with over 15 years of experience in watershed hydrology, water quality, and climate resilience. He has worked extensively with CARE Ethiopia in various leadership and technical roles. He has supported the design and implementation of climate resilient WASH programs, groundwater development, and watershed restoration interventions that improved access to safe water, strengthened local governance, and built community resilience to climate change. So we're really excited to have him with us here today. So we have a brief presentation. I think it's less than 15 minutes, and then he can answer questions as well as Avo can too. 1 second, let me make sure this works. Okay.
I am Adunya. Today I will talk about the climate resilient WASH in the case of Ethiopia, which is located in the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia had a population of more than 126 million, and only 60% of have access to the basic drinking water service. The remaining number of people have access water from unimproved sources, as well as limited access to safe drinking water. The country has frequently challenged in climate shocks, especially in drought and flood and erratic rainfall, that create a disparity in access to safe drinking water for the communities. So this country is also highly depend on water climate sensitive water sources, because most of the people they rely on groundwater, shallow groundwater systems. So that the shallow groundwater system is vulnerable in the climate, especially in a drought area. They will drop down the groundwater tables, especially in the around the area of Ethiopia, as well as there is a frequent flooding in the highland and the lowland area that creates most of the infrastructure significantly damaged by these climate shocks. So as a result, they're increasing the vulnerability and the contamination and the shortages. The flooding greatly affect the quality of the groundwater, especially in the lowland areas. Most of the people have the prevalence of the waterborne diseases are significant, increasing in the initially during the rainy season. Those, in addition to the quality and climate vulnerability, governance and financial challenges slowly progress toward this Sustainable Development Goal 6 to achieve in the country, because there is poor management of water system, as well as limited financing for expansion and implementation of WASH system. As a result, they are below toward this, the SDG. CARE Ethiopia has working on WASH system approach initiated through Sustainable WASH program. Basically, they work on data-driven and innovative technologies for scale-up and sustainability of the WASH systems. Geographical spread in Amhara region, the state of Ethiopia, in the southern central Gondar zone. This program mainly focuses on inclusive and sustainable climate resilient services, and they can leverage the local government and communities engagement to improve the water coverages, as well as to sustain the quality of the services for the communities. Most of the time we work on leveraging the resources, and the government contributed, the community contributing to improve access to drinking water, to manage the financial services, as well as community health fully engaged in the management or improving the governance of the systems. The approach that we followed to increase the climate resilient and inclusive wash system in Ethiopia, specifically in Amhara region, tried to use the following approaches, among them like strengthening the water governance through regular water point inventory, mapping and distribution, looking at the water where they distributed, how they are functioning, and also in what extent are distributing this access to safe drinking water, building strong partnership across the sector. WASH is not a single organization, so there are many organizations, many actors, many stakeholders should be engaged to improve the sustainability of the WASH service. As a result, GEAR strongly works on building partnership across the sector, ensure demand-driven planning and service delivery. So those demands should be came from the community or as well as from the government, and then based on that demands, then try to design or develop a planning for service delivery. Promote a gender-sensitive approach. Currently in Ethiopia, women are responsible to fetching water. As a result, women should heavily participate or engage in promoting the WASH services, because the roles of this are this as a social norm which is given to the woman. So woman has great role for managing of that systems. So here we'll focus on promoting the gender sensitive approach in implementation of climate resilient WASH. Engage the private sector in service provision. Private sector has a great role in supplying spare parts, maintenance services. As a result, this private sector will lead to improve the functionality of or the sustainability of water delivery systems. Developing climate resilient infrastructure and technologies like solars, and also locally managed technology systems that will fit with the climate resilient through the improving the nature-based solution by implementing integrated water management in the upstream watershed areas that creates to develop the climate resilient and also the structures compatible within the environment. Fostering the participation in community empowerment. Communities are participating in managing the water systems, and also they are the role in lead all the management systems, and integrate the water system for sustainable impacts through integrated water system approaches. In the case of this regional Amhara regional state, what we currently implemented in southern central Gondar of Ethiopia, it's like CARE has mainly focused on implementing integrated watershed approaches, which is a natural-based solution to improve the recharge rate of the groundwater system that creates to minimize the groundwater table fluctuation of the systems. And also the upstream watershed treatment system helps us to protect the transportation of those contaminants, just act as a buffer areas so that minimize the contamination as well as recharge the groundwater systems. And also applying time series water mapping. This helps us to reach those marginalized groups for area where just the decision makers and the financer will looking on the distribution of the water system that help us to target those marginalized group peoples. Just this is a visualization to see the location of the different water schemes. Use multi-platforms to integrate different actors like health, education, water, agriculture, environment, all, and also the communities should be participated in this integrated in these platforms. Apply community scorecards to improve the services. The customer satisfied should satisfied based on the service that provided. So service provider, service authority, and service authority should have their role on applying this community scorecard. It will help to more accountability of the system. Introducing diversified technology options like manual-based systems as well as solar systems, or the hybrid systems like electric system with the solar systems. All these are diversified technology options that will provide to the communities, and also strengthens community hygiene and sanitation that will minimize the water contaminants. Because they should have declared that areas in open defecation free, which means most of the contaminants which is coming from human feces are significantly decreasing through the engagement of the community on hygiene and sanitation. Monitoring of the groundwater quality regularly. Those are most of the time they are small-scale water supply system, care significantly promoting the chlorine dispenser to treat the water qualities. As well as significantly monitor the water quality to see the utilization, the prevalency, and the existence of free chlorine in the water system to manage the microbiological contaminants of the water, and promoting school wash initiative. Just consider school children as change agents that will help to promote the management of water systems, as well as for hygiene and sanitation. So significantly improve the WASH initiative in the schools, just to create enabling environment for the students, especially regarding to this. It creates minimize the number of absenteeism, especially for girls, due to the availability of this WASH facility in the schools, and also schools use this water management for multiple use purposes that will create as an income for the schools for promoting hygiene and sanitation. From these approaches, what we recorded some of the results. Based on these approaches, we have the following results. It reduces the variation in water supply coverage among the Kabbales, which is the lower administrative areas in Ethiopia context is Kabale. So the variation, which is the difference of percentage coefficient of variation, the percentage of variation was like 104 before the intervention of the programs, but nowadays it decreased to 43% of coefficient of variation, which is significantly most of the lower Kabale areas or villages has close percentage of coverage, which means there is fair resource distribution, equity, and inclusives. Strengthen sector integration and private sector engagement, and create job opportunity, especially for you women and users. This sector integration creates an opportunity for them to have job opportunity, and also there is an integration, or there is a link, or WASH is not an independent segment, but it is work should be on integral section. As a result, this creates a multi-sectoral thinking and one plan, one budget, one working environment among them. Increase community participation in overall management of the scheme. Previously, almost like one of the big challenges for sustainable water scheme is now poor management system. So by creating good governance systems like proper management, like initially it was WASH costs, but we create like water user association, a cluster level management of system, and that come up to water user as a union, many and that Kabbales, that creates for better management of the scheme. It also improved the functional rate of water scheme. Before it was 40%, but after the intervention of the project in the total in that Warada, the functional rate increased to 63%, and also the water coverage increased from 26 to 55%, and boosted the allocation of operation and maintenance budgets. In the previous proposed intervention of the project, only 50% of the water system has operation and maintenance budget, but nowadays 72% of the water scheme has good operation and maintenance budgets. Expand school and community access to the service, because we consider school as the change agents. As a result, we expand the services. Enhance the multiplicity of water for household and livelihood. Since for sustain the water services, we use waters as not only for domestic uses, but we can use for productive uses. Just this incentive creates like easy to allocate the operation and the maintenance budgets for the scheme. So it creates like nutrition as well as income generating, and also that will help to sustain the water supply services. These are the picture from the private sector who engage on production of soaps, as well as distributing of this water filtration for the communities at local level. Just take from the wholesaler and try to distribute at a local level. And also in the right side of the left side of the picture, the multiples of water production systems. Other recommendation from these processes, I think regularly conduct regular water point inventory, mapping, distribution analysis, and use of funding to advocate for reducing water access disparity that will minimize the water disparity, strengthen the management system, and improve resource allocation, adapt, scale up appropriate technology and wash business model, promotes multiples of water service, and divert the management approaches that will help to have good operation and maintenance budget, as well as improve their livelihoods in terms of access to diversified crops, as well as income generation, enhance sector integration, supportive supervision, and cross-sectoral coordination, ensure inclusive and gender-sensitive planning and implementation, build the institutional capacity for sustainable water service delivery is very critically important to ensure the sustainability of water service, and that will it also creates an opportunity to get the financial system to engage in sustainability of the water system and close to approach achieve the sustainable development goal 6. Thank you very much. If you have any question, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Adunya. So there were some questions in the chat about specific nature-based solutions approaches, and I think also climate resilient infrastructure. And this applies to both programs, the one in Madagascar and the one in Ethiopia. But Dunya, I don't know if you want to go first. I know you mentioned some during your presentation, of course, about nature-based solutions and climate resilient agriculture. Climate resilient infrastructure. But yeah, can I give you the floor to talk a little bit about some of the specifics of the program you did? And you're on mute. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yeah. Can I proceed
Okay.
my response to the questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for the audiences, and thank you so much for Kelly for facilitating to present our insights on climate resilient wash on the context of Ethiopia. So the first question from Fisha, it would be interesting to know how much sensor technologies are used for water quality monitoring. So far, we have not used the sensor technologies, but we are directly monitor the water qualities. Just we assign the local government experts to bring the water sample and try to test that water quality. And also some of the parameters are tested at the site level, and some of the parameters are tested in the lab. So far we didn't do that sensor technology water quality, but we have an experience in Afar that we install 50 sensor technologies to give an information on the flow rates, as well as the status of the pumps, like, when they fail, they give a signal to the operators, as well as for the government responsible departments, just to facilitate the operation and the maintenance service. But so far we cannot use sensor for water quality monitoring technology. The next one, Stefan, thank you for your questions. I think maybe I missed you and already what are the natural-based solution that we'd expected? I think which specific natural-based solution? So CARE has implementing integrated water resource management. So first it started from organizing the community and try to design watershed management plan. Based on the design or the plan, we are trying to implement those natural-based solutions. For example, commonly in the highland area, the terrace, trench, and also the infiltration gallery, like water basin infiltrated galleries, and also gully treatments, and also enclosure of the areas are some of the natural based solution that to regenerate those dead seeds, as well as to protect from contamination, protect from the livestock or from the entrance of any human interface on that specific location. So the upstream area will try to regenerate the previous seeds, as well as we are going to planting forest trees upstream of the watershed, so that will give a buffer for that. So the natural based solution includes planting, terrace, benches, some of the physical structure, as well as the biological measure to be in place in the water. But it's site specific, because communities jointly with the government agricultural sectors has their own plan for individual watersheds. Well, for example, if the watershed in the low slope areas, most of the time there is a specific design for that. But majorly, the physical structure like terrace, benches, and basins are installed in a watershed. For the physical treatment system, for biological treatment system, we plant seedlings, both exotic and endemic plants, depending on the location. And also in the watershed, we plant fruits, to increase the economical values for that areas, and also livestock fodders, just to sustain the watershed treatment systems. The next question.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to check and see if Ava wanted to add anything for Madagascar about climate resilient infrastructure, because we have about 7 minutes, but I just wanted to check, Ava, if you have any additions or comments.
You said about nature-based solutions. From Madagascar experience, I think it is more adapting the infrastructure to be more friendly to the ecosystem. What I mean is, for example, we promoted some technologies like a hybrid dam, so that to use local materials to maintain and restore ecological functions, some ecological functions, to reduce environmental footprint. So this is technology, but there are also capacity building training for operators, for municipalities to think of the climate adaptation measures to ensure sustainability of these systems, to promote, to conduct awareness to communities, to protect the environment. So maybe not really watershed protection directly, but capacity building and engagement of the actors to be ecosystem friendly.
Perfect. And Dunya, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier, but what Avo said and then your presentation makes me think about when talking about nature-based solutions or climate resilient infrastructure in WASH, you talked about all the different partners, all the different ways we had to work, all the different actors we had to talk to. But when talking about climate resilience and the work you did in Ethiopia, talking with community was probably one thing, maybe talking with private sector was another, and talking with government at different levels. But do you want to tell us a little bit about the different challenges or maybe the different successes that happened in those conversations?
Thank you. I think we integrate one of the platforms that we create for the climate resilient wash system is especially in Ethiopia, is like limited, or you can say there is no clear integration platform among the sector. So when I worked to creating this integration platform, it was really very challenging because different sectors have different plan. So, and also different platforms. So it was initially challenging to create that integrated and one. But the good thing is in Ethiopia, the government take the lead. One of the good opportunities that we have, Ethiopia has one national plan, so that give an opportunity for us. So based on that guideline and the standards, we try to design our local context for specific waradas as well as zone level. So we establish a steering committee at zone, national, regional, and the warada levels, so that steering committee creates enabling environment for different sectors to be integrated and to have the same in the same page. So they have their own joint planning, they have their joint monitoring, and they have their own plan and evaluating performance of each project. So we engage them and build trust among them, and they try to work together. So even at the community.
And with that integration, sorry. I was just going to say, is community scorecard, was that built into that integration platform and some of those conversations and exercises that you did?
Yeah, yes. We have three way of the monitoring system and practically make an integration. The first one is, community service receiver and the government as a service provider. Some of the sectors are the service authority. So to link the service provider authority and the communities, we create a platform like community scorecard, in addition to frequent review meeting and community conversation platforms. So that community scorecard will give a weight for the government sector as well as for the communities, and take their roles and responsibility. And after 3-4 months, they will join together and see the results or the changes from the community scorecard from the previous initial ranking to the after.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Services, other services. I think one of the very important point for creating a platform is like the water inventory. That was a very, very interesting platform. When the politician or the leadership, when you see the different or the diversified or the coverage of the water supply system, they try to shock it, because in some areas they are concentrated number of water points are there. In some areas there is no water schemes. So at that time, the governments are trying to shock with that distribution. Then, because it's a part of the governance issue, unfair or unequal distribution of water system among their waradas or their peripheries. As a result, that tools helps to see other marginalized groups and try to reach those marginalized groups through this continuous water inventorying system and community scorecard. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I included Adunya's and Avo's emails here in the chat for those who have additional questions and want to follow up with them. But thank you so much for joining our session.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, all.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. I will end this meeting now.